No sun today. Just another blah, semi-blue sky day. Anyway, given that my body's a little beat up, today's a rest day, so I'll just talk for a little bit. One of the things that you should realize if you watch my videos over a period of time and the things I do, to become pretty apparent that I don't do easy things. If something is easy, I will either A, get bored of it quickly, or B, intentionally not do it. I always look for something harder to do. That's just my personality. Another thing that goes along with that is the idea of trying not to ask for help very often. A lot of people think that people with disabilities, physical disabilities mostly, should ask for help when doing routine daily things. My opinion is this: if you're always asking for help to do physical activities, then you will never build the strength necessary to do harder things. And in a sense, you will be stuck where you are. You will not improve, and that will just be your normal. Now, this is fine for some people, but it is not fine for me. It is not how I have operated in the past, and I will never operate that way. Regardless of whether it shortens my life or not, I will not operate that way. Another thing that spins off that is the idea of lifting weights, or something called functional strength. I am not a proponent of lifting weights. I do not believe in lifting weights as a beneficial exercise. I think lifting weights, by and large, even if you're a healthy person without a disability, is not the best thing to do. In my opinion, the best thing to do is to build something called functional strength. Now, the best way to get good at something is to do that thing over and over and over again. If you want to learn to walk, then you slowly start walking. If you want to learn to swim, you slowly start swimming. If you want to learn to hike, you slowly start hiking. If you want to learn to play soccer, you slowly kick a ball and build your abilities over time. For example, when you're hiking, I have noticed that having leg strength is not necessarily the most important thing. However, having endurance in your leg muscles is very important. Endurance is much more important to me than actual muscle strength. if you have endurance in your body, you can go a long way. And in my experience, having endurance will also help you with pain management. So that's just something to think about. I actually got really lucky because as I was trying to improve the mobility in my legs, I was forced into a situation where my legs went into severe muscle contraction, and I was on muscle relaxers for about a year or a year and a half. But as my legs have gotten better, the muscle spasms in my legs have reduced significantly, if not gone away fully. So I haven't had to use muscle relaxers in a long time. Occasionally you will, but by and large they're not necessary for me anymore. If I came out here 20 minutes earlier, maybe I would have caught the sunset. But this is all you get for now. One thing that I do find interesting is that hiking primarily works my hamstring and my feet. It's really important to build the toughness in your feet. That's a really overlooked thing. I noticed when I was in Florida, the toughness of my feet got severely reduced because all I was doing was ocean swimming. Ocean swimming is great in its own sense, but it's not a exercise that's the best for overall health. It just excludes too much. It is cool though, and you do it for other purposes besides fitness. I got some cool shots yesterday of the trees and the sun, but that in no way compares to the scenery and the setting that I was getting ocean swimming. They're just not comparable in any way. It also took me a very, very long time to edit that hiking video because my internet is slow. It took me something like 8 hours to take all the footage off the camera, put it all together, and upload it onto YouTube. So hiking videos are very time consuming, but maybe some people like them. They're definitely different. I don't think many people with disabilities hike in that manner. So they're interesting. Although I can't really film myself doing it. I have to film when I stop because otherwise it's too dangerous. And I don't want to have the camera attached to me because then it's not a stable shot. And part of filming is to get the most stable shot you can. Still no moon in this direction. That's interesting. Also no airplanes overhead. Just one nicely colored cloud over there. And that's all. Oh, and you do have the insects. It was interesting. Yesterday, I was anticipating getting bitten a lot by the insects, but over where I was hiking, the insects don't really bother you there, which is interesting. It's basically a run up a giant hill, so maybe that has something to do with it. The way it went yesterday, you start on the bottom of the hill and then you run up it, and then it loops back around to the other side. But I went up about pretty much all the way, but I didn't loop back around. I went up essentially 75% of the way. I turned to go in the direction that I was supposed to go, but then there was so much plant life and overgrowth that it was hard to follow the actual major trail. So I just took a bunch of side trails and called it a day once I found the main trail back down. But it's still nice footage anyway. There was one single bird. It's interesting in the ocean how much bird life there is and how they all flock and fly together, and then they whirl by your head and you can catch it. That's fun. I take no pleasure really in woodlands. I really don't care that much. I would so much prefer playing in the ocean every day than just looking at trees like this. It really doesn't do anything for me. I just don't care. I really don't like living in the Hudson Valley, which is 2 hours north of New York City. I really don't like it here. I don't know why people live here. It makes no sense to me. We have nice colleges. We have Vassar, Bard, and Marist. But besides that, I don't understand why people live here. I really don't. If you could live anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the world, why would you live here? And I know people have limitations for various reasons as to where they end up living and having a family or whatever they do. But to be honest, this place sucks. Like, there's a reason that the number of impressions I got in Florida are so much higher than the numbers I get here. It's it's not because my creation abilities, my video creation abilities have gotten so much worse since I've been back. It's just what's available to you is much more impressive. In Florida, the things you can do are much more impressive to a wider group of people than the talks I can give here, or the soccer ball I can kick, or the lacrosse ball I can shoot, or the hiking trails I can film. It's just not interesting enough to a large group of people. However, apparently the ocean is. Apparently the ocean and ocean swimming is very interesting to people. That's the one thing I'm going to be known for, I think, in my life. You're still going to have my ocean swimming videos on Google search, and they're still going to be the first 9 pages of Google search for a long time. That's going to be my legacy, really, most likely, which is pretty cool. I'll take that. I want to scuba dive. I think that would be cool, but I need to go to physical first and have my doctor fill out the forms. I think I can do it though. I just don't know how my body would respond to having weight on my back, weight from the air tanks. I'm not sure, but I think I could figure it out. I think it would be cool. So it wouldn't just be ocean swimming, it would be scuba diving. That would be cool. You can go skydiving here, but I think I would actually prefer scuba diving. Skydiving is fun, or I think it would be fun. I haven't done it, but I think I would more enjoy scuba diving. It looks like that cool cloud, or that full cloud went away. And that's unfortunate. Now you have nothing left but the insects. There are some lightning bugs in the grass, which are cool, but they're hard to catch. They flash and then they disappear, and then they flash again, but they're hard to catch on camera. There is something that I can talk about here. I was talking to a friend about something and explaining why people feel so strongly about being in a minority group and how that shapes their life and how they generally feel about life because of being in a minority group. This person and myself, we tend to go back and forth about how people in minority groups feel, i.e. the people in the gay minority or other minorities. And I came up with an idea that kind of crystallized my thoughts on the issue, and why I think that if you are part of a minority group, it's best for other people outside of your minority group to look to be as inclusive as possible, to not make the marginalized feel so out of place. The reason that you want to do this is because when you are a part of a minority group and you do feel constantly marginalized in any way really, but in my experience, when you are marginalized, it impacts every aspect of your life. The reason that you want to be as inclusive and understanding to those people as possible is because the people in the marginalized minority group, from my experience, have the constant thought of suicide running through their head. I know some people can't grasp that or don't want to think about it, but it's true. If you're part of a minority group that is constantly marginalized, whether intentionally or unintentionally, you will likely have the thought of suicide run through your head rather constantly. And people can ignore this, but just because you ignore it doesn't mean it goes away. Again, you've just shifted and again further marginalized the minority group by not fully appreciating what they go through. So the more understanding there is and the more inclusivity there is, it's perhaps likely, or hopefully likely, that the marginalized minority group will feel less of a pull to have depressive thoughts that then lead to suicidal thoughts and maybe suicidal actions. It's just something to think about, but that is the way the human mind works. I like to work alone and essentially be alone and do things alone, but I do understand the concept of large numbers, and I do understand the importance of sociology and psychology. So I will never downplay the role that society plays in how some people end up feeling about themselves or the actions they take because of the way they feel. Because at the end of the day, humans are wired in such a way where we look at the world around us and we are able to quite easily discern what is a fair outcome and what is an unfair outcome. And when outcomes are unfair and people feel trapped, then bad things happen. And that is very unfortunate. I don't even know what I would say about mental health therapy, because I personally don't think it helps that much. But again, that's just my personal belief. I think that how you feel about things and how you cope with feeling about something really has to do with the options around you. If you have parents that are well-to-do, or you have friends that are well-to-do, and you therefore have more options in your life, then I think you're going to overall feel better about your situation. Even if you have a physical disability, or a mental disability, or a psychological disability, more options always help. Conversely, if you're in a position where you don't have a family that is very well-to-do, you don't have many friends that are very well-to-do, and you're kind of stuck with limited options, you're probably going to feel bad about your situation. And no amount of mental health therapy is going to help you, in my opinion. Life is more cruel than that. Life is mostly about luck, and sadly, that's just all it is. People say life is about money, or life is about happiness. I personally don't think that life is really about any of those two things. I think fundamentally life is about luck, and luck helps you achieve, or is a necessary condition for wealth or happiness. Now, these opinions may be controversial, but they are my opinions, and I have given them a lot of thought over the years. I guess you would call this talks of psychology, sociology, and philosophy. It's much brighter on the camera than it is in real life. It's funny how GoPro plays tricks with light. They never give you a true picture, but for an action camera, they do well enough. There's one airplane over there, straight up. And the last bit of white is right there. Luckily for me, if I'm not doing something physical, I tend to always have at least something to talk about for a short time anyway. And I do feel like some people will find those videos interesting. That's actually how I started my YouTube channel. Before I started anything really physically, I would just sit out here in the spring and talk about some topics. And that's how my YouTube channel started. Because I do think what I have to say is very well thought out, and maybe if YouTube keeps the servers around in 100 years, people will still be searching on Google cerebral palsy, this problem or that problem, and maybe they'll come across my videos. To me, YouTube is not about being creative. I don't really care about making creative videos. It's not my style. I don't care about editing. I don't necessarily care to make money from YouTube, although that would be really nice. Because like I said before, when you have a disability, you're economically marginalized. But what I would like is for my YouTube channel to ultimately become popular, because in popularity you can reach more people and spread your message. I basically talked for a little more than 30 minutes just about things. It's too bad there was no real sunset. Maybe I just missed it. It is very dark outside. I think I'm gonna end the video because nothing interesting is coming to mind and light is fading.